Hey everybody, Kevin Anthony here, and in today's video, I've got something different for you. In this video, I'm going to be doing a product review. So I'm going to be reviewing this product right here. We're going to talk about what it is, what you can possibly use it for, how well it actually works, what I personally think of it, and more. So let's break it down. All right, so the product I have here is called the Handy. And the Handy is a device. It's really designed to be a pleasure device. And the reason why we say pleasure device is because it actually can do many different things other than just being used potentially for masturbation. So what it is a stroker, as you can see here, but its design is kind of unique in a way that it uses sleeves, and the sleeves just connect to the outside of the machine. And the machine itself will stroke, and we'll talk about the different features and how this actually works. But kind of what I wanted to point out now is what I think is interesting about this is you do not have to put your genitals into the machine at all. And that is something that is really important to me. I am always hesitant to actually put something that's very important to me, my genitals, into a machine where I can't see what's actually happening. So this is a really cool design in a way that it doesn't actually do that. The other cool thing about it is you can see it uses sleeves. So this is the default one that comes with the device. But you can see that there are also a whole bunch of other sleeves, each one designed to mimic a different feeling. And I have to say, I would not recommend anything to you that I haven't actually tried myself. So I actually did try this, and I did use several of the different sleeves, and I can say that they do very much feel different and very much do recreate specific types of sensation that they are going for. So there is an ever-expanding range of different sleeves, so they're adding new ones all the time. But the interesting thing is you might already have sleeves from other devices. They will also work with this device as well because of the way it connects. It doesn't have to fit into any sort of proprietary shape or design or anything like that. As long as you can put a Velcro strap here around it, it will work. So that's kind of cool too, because you don't necessarily have to go out and buy a whole bunch of new pieces to go with it if you don't want to. Now the Handy, like I said, is really a pleasure device in a sense that it can be used specifically for pleasure. And there's a lot of different ways that you can do that. One way, of course, is to use it in what's called offline mode, which is simply plugging it in and using it as is. You've got the controls right here. And these controls, you have power. You have the stroke, how far up and down it actually goes. And you've got the speed as well, how fast it goes. So you can just control all of that and just use it as a pleasure device in that way. But you can also connect it to the internet. And so what's interesting is this thing can actually sync with content. So what you're watching on the screen, you're feeling on your physical body. It also has a remote control feature where somebody else, either in the same room or not, can potentially control it for you. You can also connect it over the internet and have it be remote controlled by a partner as well. So there's really a lot of different ways that it can potentially be used, which I think just makes it more interesting and more versatile. Another cool feature about the Handy is that although it is designed to be held and used with one hand rather easily, you can also get the hands-free mounting kit for it so that you don't actually have to hold it at all, and that can potentially help you simulate a more realistic motion or action. There are no batteries required. It plugs into the wall, so you don't have to worry about running out of battery. It's got a fairly long cord length, so that's not really an issue. It is shipped in discreet packaging, so nobody will know exactly what it is you're buying. And honestly, it's a pretty cool little device. So now that I've told you what it is and how it works, let me tell you a little bit about my personal view of this product. There are some things that I like about it. I think it's a well-designed product. It seems to be well made, well manufactured. It works well. And what I like is you do not put yourself inside the machine. Everything you can clearly see what is happening and what is going on through the clear sleeves and the fact that you are external. I like the fact that you can vary the speed as well as the stroke. So obviously you can vary the stroke based on your size, but maybe just to change sensation. So if you lengthen or shorten the stroke, you can also get different sensations. I love the fact that they've got tons of different sleeves available for it that literally do feel differently, which I was actually a little bit surprised. I was like, am I really going to be able to feel the difference? But you really can. So that's pretty cool. And, while you can use this for a lot of different things, as we discussed earlier, one thing that I see, well, I guess a few things that I see this could be really useful for is, let's say you had some sort of disability and pleasure and masturbation were a little bit difficult for you. This might be a great way to do it. The other thing that I think is really interesting is if you've watched my content for any amount of time, you know that Selena and I have something that we call the mindful masturbation practice, and it's kind of a core tenet in when we're teaching men how to last longer and how to be better lovers. The one feedback that I do occasionally get when I teach that practice is that the practice is great and it really does work, but it doesn't feel like actually penetrating a woman. Well, there's only so much that we can do with our hands to simulate that. But this actually is probably the closest thing that I have seen to simulate that sensation. So, some men will tell me, well, I made great progress in the practice, but, once I got to the real thing, it didn't work out so well. I think this could be potentially a good bridge between, the regular practice and actually having sex with a woman. And this could really help prepare you, I think, for the real thing. So that's an area that I see this could also potentially be a really cool tool. And, the reality is look, if you listen to any of the content that Celine had created over the years, she was a huge proponent of pleasure. Pleasure for no other reason than pleasure is good for us, right? Pleasure makes us happy. The happier we are, the better we are when we go out and interact with other people in the world. So pleasure is a perfectly acceptable reason to use it. And if there are other reasons like, disabilities or training purposes, it could be a great tool for that also. We don't do a lot of product recommendations on this channel, but when something comes along that I think is well designed and fits a unique place in the product world that might be beneficial to you, then it's pretty cool to talk about it. My personal experience with this is I really found it simple to use. And for me, that's kind of important. At this point in my life, anything that's like requires a big complicated setup or I don't know, I'm just not motivated enough at this point in my life to do something that's super complicated. So the fact that it's super easy to use is something that I really appreciated. I also found that the different sleeves were really awesome. I know I've mentioned that a few times in this video, but I was really surprised at how, one, different they felt, but two, that they did a really good job of mimicking the different sensations that they're trying to create, whether it's a hand, a mouth, a vagina, whatever. I was really kind of surprised about that. And, I found that the experience overall in general was quite pleasurable. And I didn't use it actually in the online mode, although I think that's a really interesting feature to have. I just used it in offline mode so far. But I really found it to be a pleasurable experience. I would see myself, just because of what I do and what I teach, using it probably primarily as a training tool. Although if I didn't have a partner that I was with regularly, then I would potentially use it more often just for pleasure, just for recreating that sensation that you really only get through actual penetration. But yeah, overall, I thought it actually was quite a pleasurable experience, and I could definitely see it being a worthwhile addition to somebody's toolbox, so to speak. One thing I will say also, though, is make sure that you use lots of lube. Lube is your friend in this case. If you want to maximize the experience, don't cheap out on the lube. Definitely make sure you use a lot of that. So there you go. That's what I think about the Handy. I think it's a pretty cool device. I think it's well made, and I think it has a couple of areas where it really fits in. So if you're looking for, a device for pleasure, something that you can use by yourself, something that you can use with a partner, whether in the same location or remotely, something you want to sync with content, or something that you want to use as a training tool, I think the Handy could really be the tool for you. And I have a promo code for you. It is Kevin10. Link is in the description. Use that for 10% off all regularly priced products. It is worth checking out.